Yeah, so 3.10 just went live yesterday, right? Did you see some cool improvements? Yeah, I think and lending went live today, right? Rujira lending, at least for the protocols.
Yes. We're mostly excited for the base layer pool, I guess.
Yeah, I haven't announced that yet, but the next turn is ours.
Let's give it a couple more minutes for people to join. I see Kenton here. How's it going?
Starting this, you guys?
All good.
Hello. Stanton, what's the most exciting thing for you in 3.10 beside all your proposal passing? All the marketing proposal passing?
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I totally forget what's in 3.10. I've been so focused on ADR 21. What's your favorite thing?
So I must say it's our base layer pool. So now native THORChain tokens can have a base layer pool as well. We did a few changes in the code base. But so yeah, we use the synergies more, and in our case, we will make a Nami RUNE pool soon.
You couldn't do that before?
No, actually not, because there were some special cases for Ruji and TCY, but it needs to be generalized because otherwise these technically the tokens fail some guest tests because THORChain didn't know what type of tokens they are. So yeah, we needed to do some adjustments there. But now it's possible. If you are whitelisted, so you still need to do a merge request and need to be accepted. But it's just you just need to whitelist your token address, and then you can do the thing.
And so we need 10,000 RUNE plus equal dollar amount of the other token to start a pool, right?
Yes, correct. So
Yeah.
the minimum is 10. You preferably you have more, right? Because if you drop under 10, you go into staging.
Yeah.
So better to have some reserve. But yeah, we're targeting to start with around 50,000 RUNE and the equivalent of Nami and see where it leads.
So with the update, does this mean that if there's any new like tokens on THORChain, what do we call them, guys? Like they're like ERC20s. What is the equivalent on THORChain? Has anybody come up with a name yet?
I think it's just native, actually.
Native?
So
Okay.
native THORChain.
If there's any other native tokens on THORChain, are they automatically able to go create a pool, or do they still have to be individually whitelisted?
Yeah, you still need to individual whitelist. I think that's it's a good thing from my perspective, but it's really just a very simple entry. So everybody that just understands how to use Visual Studio Code could do this whitelist process and get accepted by the nodes.
Yeah, and that's whitelisted for a pool in the base layer. What about on Rujira? You know, there's, forgive me, I don't know what it's called, but like there's a platform where people can launch their own tokens, but those are just going to sit on app layer on Rujira, right? Like or is there avenue for them to have their own base layer pools too? How is that going to work?
So every token that is created via Rujira is a native token. So they all have the ability. They just need to be whitelisted in this whitelist function. To be able to create a pool. But yeah, they are not by default. So you need to do a merge request and you need to get accepted by the nodes on the update.
But that token will be able to live and function on Rujira. It just may not on the app layer. It just may not be able to may not be approved for its own base layer pool. Is that right?
Yes, correct. So yeah, correct. Usually when like over this Launchpad process, when this sale is ended and the token is created, then automatically, that's the cool thing about the process, a book will be created, an order book, and the passive market maker, an AMM. It is funded already, and yeah, like after the sale ends, you're good to go. You can trade it. But obviously, there is advantages to also having a base layer pool. We are talking about today about distribution. So obviously, one big advantage is that you can go way further because it's yeah you're way more available or more easily available via the swap functionality of THORChain. Right?
Well, this probably is a good segue into the topic of the space. So like on this launch pad is the idea that you guys want to make it available to anyone and everyone. You know, come create your stupid coins, whatever. You could have billions of different tokens on here, and then we'll let the cream rise to the top, whatever actually is real and has staying power. Then we can entertain having a base layer, a base layer pool for those tokens. Is that the right way to think about it?
I mean, it really comes down to how you guys as a nodes yeah, stand to this topic. I think you can definitely approach it like that. So you can say you need a minimum duration or a minimum amount of volume or whatever. So just spam the code base with base layer tokens. But yeah, theoretically, you could right away also whitelist and start the base layer thing, right? As long as you have the 15,000 or 10,000 and you have 10,000 tokens.
But as
But
far
yeah,
as having millions of tokens on the app layer, would that affect anything? Be a problem? Be an issue? Like, could you just let
no,
it go wide
no, not at
open?
all.
Like, tell everybody, like, have fun, guys. Just get out there. You know, we're talking about distribution, right? Getting out of our bubble. This, in my mind, is a great way to do it. You know, to open it up, to have anybody play with it and do what they want with it. Or no, it's Rujira still wants to be a gatekeeper on that launch pad.
I mean, so Rujira is still permissioned, right? And using the launchpad requires an instantiation of a contract. So it will always go through the Rujira team at this point. So yeah, there's the permissions feature. I personally think it's good in the beginning, but yeah, like I don't really know what the plan is down the line. But like you say, there is definitely value in opening it up for everybody because then the free market will decide, and this is usually the best things, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I understand both sides of the argument. You know, one would be, you know, free market, you know, no censorship, you know, have it wide open, anybody can do anything. And then I do understand the other side where it's like, well, yeah, we want to encourage that, but then you just get bogged down with so much garbage and noise, right? And so if you can just put a little bit of quality control on it and just, you know, hopefully people aren't just like creating crap for the sake of creating crap, and we can just curate the experience a little bit better, then that might develop, you know, a stronger reputation for the platform. That hey, that there's only, you know, kind of like Kraken, right? Kraken, you know, they try to list, you know, real projects with, you know, so yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I agree. Like there is value to both. Let's give it like that. I don't know. We had I mean, yeah, okay. Carl is here, I guess. You're here. Yeah, there are a few others that we are still waiting on, but it's okay. I think just to not drag the space, I have sort of a little structure, a few guided
Sure.
questions. So yeah, that we go through it. Before we start though, just for the audience, usually should everybody should know each other, but yeah, Kenton, you want to give a quick intro to yourself?
Sure. My name's Kenton Ralph Toes. I started and manage the Yusha RUNE Fund. It's a fund dedicated to investing in RUNE and running nodes on THORChain. So I'm a node operator and bond provider on THORChain. And I also co-host the weekly THORChain space too.
Moving, yeah. So then, by the way, an amazing job on the weekly
Oh,
space.
thank you.
Always love to listen. Uh, Always interesting topics. And I guess also what we need to say is you are behind, or one of the people behind the new marketing proposal on THORChain. So it will be very interesting to hear your thoughts on the institution and marketing in general for crypto projects.
For
Um,
sure.
Yeah, then Nami Index, Moonman, you're behind the account. You want to give a quick intro?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Moonman. I'm basically founder of the Index product. It was separate from Nami when it was developed back on Kujira, but after sort of the merge of Kujira and THORChain, or acquisition rather, we have merged with the Nami team. Now we're Nami Index. We have 3 products live. We can get into that later, but yeah, glad to be here on this roundtable today.
Amazing. Yeah, so I'm part of the Nami team, so yeah, we're heading in the same direction. Our viewpoint on the team on the topic of distribution is really okay. How can we get more people to use our very specific product? So yeah, it's our angle here on that topic. Yeah, Leodex. I guess Carl, you are behind it. How's it going?
Hey, yeah, it's going well. Thanks for having me on. I'm Cal, founder of Leodex, and we just added, RUNE and YTCY. So excited to be here and talk about the space. I love the topic too.
Amazing. So now, who's behind the THORChain account today? I want to give an intro. All right.
TC intern told me he prefers to stay anon.
Okay, because he requested to speak.
So.
So.
Oh, Mayor. Well, I shouldn't. I don't want to speak for him, but if he doesn't, that's why. But I would love to hear from him. So don't tell me I'm wrong, TC intern. But yeah, if he doesn't come on, that's why.
Okay, amazing. Okay, no problem. So yeah, I guess down the line we expect perhaps JP to drop in, and I see we have Pro Wallet in the audience and many people. So let's just get into it. Perhaps as a kickoff, I'd like to pick up this topic of distribution. The question is, how can we all effectively acquire users outside of this community, right? We all know each other. We are all in this bubble. And personally, we see on our accounts that there is not much room to grow at the moment because you have a certain amount of, I would say, 2,000, 3,000 people in this community that are quite active. But yeah, like that are active on X at least, reachable over X. But that's not enough to build a thriving ecosystem, especially if you look over the borders. So yeah, Nami Index, perhaps Moonman. Why don't you start? Can you share a key experience, like something that you found was working successfully or unsuccessfully around the topic of product distribution for the indices, and especially totally outside.
Yeah, for sure. So the 3 indexes we have launched right now, which is the Rujira index, but pretty much like a basket of all the altcoins that are natively deployed on THORChain and Rujira. And then the 2 other ones are YTCY and YRUNE, essentially both like a basket of YRUNE and TCY. They work great to sort of, test the product, test the contracts, have like users interact with it, test our distribution strategy of sort of, getting the product integrated everywhere, instead of sort of building our own UI. So we're like available in Ruji UI, we're available in Voltisig, we're available in Leodex, and we have a couple other more lined up, Rune Bond as well. We are sort of at a point where it was great to have sort of tested it, but like we need to build something that we can target users outside of the ecosystem with. So right now it's pretty much every product speaks to sort of Rune holders or TCY holders or anyone that's sort of following the all the Ruji and the altcoins as well. But nothing is, relevant to anyone outside of the ecosystem. So the next step we want to go, and this is really the next step for this product or for the Nami index, protocol, is building a large cap index that has all the. We're starting with a top 5 index that has tracks tracks the top 5 crypto assets by market cap. So essentially like an S&P 500, but obviously just with 5 assets and for crypto. And that's, I think, the first product we have that's appealing to anyone outside of this bubble. So the insight is more like it worked really well to test it in the bubble, but you have to build products that appeal to users outside of this ecosystem to really, bring the tech that's so great here to everyone out there.
Okay, nice. So if I sum it up for you, something that is really of essence is what target group, obviously, the product itself speaks to, because you can also divide the crypto users into different target groups. Right. Okay. Then perhaps next one, JP. You built THORChain. Welcome. You founded THORChain. What worked best in terms of product distribution, in terms of marketing? What's your
Yeah,
take?
so the first plan back in 2018-19 was to make sure affiliate fees was built in from day zero. So affiliate fees allowed any interface to wrap THORChain's API and earn income. And when we started building wallets in 2013, 15, no wallet was sustainable. They didn't have a business model. So you had closed source company-s wallets. For those who remember the old Jax wallet and the wallets Electrum and all the old Bitcoin wallets, they don't really exist anymore. People don't really use them because they just couldn't sustain building a wallet that was self-custodial but let people hold their crypto safely and charge a fee on top. You're not going to pay $10 to download a wallet app, and you can't have wallet apps charge like holding fees on your crypto. But we spotted that users want to do things with their crypto, and if we gave them an opportunity to, and the biggest thing is obviously swap and trade, and that wallets letting users do transactions on their wallets, not just send transactions, but swap and trade, was going to generate activity that you could charge a margin on. And fast forward 4 years, and 2 years ago, Trust Wallet were making $1 million a month by wrapping THORChain's API. And so we'd definitely leapfrogged into wallets now have a sustainable business model. And that supercharged, that kind of attitude was enabled THORChain to get integrated in many of the indie wallets first, and then slowly Trust Wallet, Ledger, etc., OKX Wallet jumped on board. So that idea that you build a permissionless, this distributed networking layer and allow people to charge fees on top to capture a margin could generate a sustainable business model. So that really led the distribution of THORChain in those early years.
Okay, amazing. That's one follow-up question there. How important was the easiness of integration for the integrator? Like, did you make it particularly easy, or was it like, okay, we guide you and we hold your hand until it's fixed and everybody was happy?
We try to ship a bunch of npm packages, cross-chain.js, as Asgard.js to help people easily wrap THORChain. What happened into 2022, I think, is Nine Realms identified that the biggest thing we can do is ship the quotes endpoint. And that has been a big step change. The quotes endpoint today actually set the foundation for things like SwapKit and DKit and the Rango exchange aggregators to build an API layer on top. So the quotes endpoint on THORChain looks and feels very similar to a chain jelly quotes endpoint, but it's telling you where to send the transaction, the memos, the min amounts in, and giving you a quote on that endpoint. So that was really important to allow developers to easily wrap THORChain. But ultimately, the wallets wanted an API that could give them, they just wanted to integrate one API, right? Rather than have one provider for Bitcoin swaps and one provider for token swaps. They wanted just to integrate one single provider did all the swaps. So that led things like 1inch. 1inch started off as an aggregator of routes over EVM chains, starting with the FL1. SwapKit saw an opportunity there to wrap multiple protocols like Maya, THORChain, Chainflip, and now Nia, and go to these wallets and say, hey, you can get rid of 3 different providers, like your 1inch provider, your THORChain provider, and some other Solana swap provider, and we'll give you a single API that gives you access to all the routes. So that led the growth of the aggregator level. But developer user experience is critical, and the quotes endpoint has gotten better and better over the years for that. And once again, I find myself back in npm.js today building out another SDK package called multi-sig SDK, but that's still on a different tangent. But developer user experience is really important. And oftentimes when you hire really smart engineers and you tell them, hey, I'm talking to wallet integrators and they want to see this, and they go, oh, tell them to just read the docs and then integrate. You're like, no. Developers are lazy or they got a lot of work to do. They just want to have all the information or all the providers at one location. So across the stack, this is a philosophy I hold and I push the teams with, is just try and put your shoes in the shoe and yourself in the shoes of the developer. What information is the developer looking for right now to integrate to make it life as easy as possible? So developer user experience is really important.
Okay. Now, as you mentioned, the SDK, the new SDK for multisig, how does you approach the topic of LLM? Like, how do you optimize the SDK? Yeah, for integration via a large language model. Let's say like this.
Yeah, 100%. And I was actually discussing this with some one of my devs today. Is like an API itself should be documenting, and you go, oh, there's Swagger and whatnot. No, that's a separate document file. Like every API endpoint should return, even not just error codes, but literally give you in plain text the expected parameters, the return parameters, the error codes in plain text, even a plain text description of what the API endpoint is even trying to do. And so you can skip your MCP servers, you can skip your Swagger files, you can skip all that nonsense. You can literally just code into the API to return a text string in its return parameters. Just tell me what I want. And the me in the future is going to be large language models. So when they're pinging API endpoints, it's literally telling the language model how you can interact with me. So yeah, just go straight to the source of the problem. Don't worry about MCP servers and Swagger docs. Literally document your APIs on the API itself.
Okay. Yeah, actually, I love that. I haven't thought about that, but yeah, it's kind of like the most straightforward thing. I wonder why nobody did that in general, because it's still helpful, even not for large language models. But
Yeah, exactly.
okay, thanks. So let's move on to Carl. Carl, I see you next. Your take. What works for LeoDex? How you approaching the topic of more customers, customer acquisition, product distribution?
Yeah, from our perspective, there's honestly a lot. I think like going straight to users has a very kind of interesting timeline, because you're essentially, I think the step one is create a different different demographics, because everyone's a lot different, right? Like an exchange who's rebalancing their balance sheet is obviously going to be a lot different of a target market than someone that's trading $1,000 worth of Bitcoin. So our experience in getting new users has been centered around.
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Obviously going kind of from 0 to 1 in terms of building out a UI. So we've kind of been thrown into the fire in terms of doing this all at once, but you really need to, build a good UI, build a good UX. And while you're doing that, listen to user feedback and see what your existing user base wants, see what their needs are, and then use that to create, some initial demographics. So we've done that. And just kind of built out this demographic profile for a few different subsets of users, and then kind of following along with that, then you kind of create, in my opinion, the best way to market from there is then to create kind of adjacent demographics out of those initial ones, and then as you go, you build out another demographic, and then you find ways to reach them. So that's kind of from the theoretical point of view. From like a more on the ground tactical point of view, we looked for initial users who might trade smaller amounts, but don't feel like their needs are being met in various ways. So we found a nice little niche there with some smaller users, and those actually tend to be very good initial users to give you feedback. So I'm a big fan of the kind of release, iterate, get feedback, and continue to iterate framework. And that's been our approach. And I really believe that most projects, including THORChain itself from the early days, is get something out. In THORChain's case, it was multi-chain chaos net, and you get something out there into the world and you get people using it, and then you hear their feedback and you find ways to improve, and just that entire process actually creates marketing in and of itself. So in my opinion, that's that's been our approach, and that approach works really well for really a lot of different companies.
And I think, and if you think about your next 100, or let's say let's go a bit bigger, the next 1,000, your next 10,000 users, how are you going to reach them? Is it the same loop, like the feedback loop and the word of mouth, let's say, that we're playing, or is there any special source that we want to share here? It's not secret.
Yeah, it's a good question. So there's a few different things we're doing. So one big one lately has been SEO, and I actually talked to Kenton about this pretty recently. You know, and there's a huge untapped market with just random searches. You know, someone might say, how do I unwrap my WBTC to BTC? And what you want to see is UIs like us ranking at the top for that. When someone searches how they unwrap, not only on Google and other search engines, but how do you rank for that in LLMs? So that's been a big focus of ours, and there's some very basic stuff around sitemaps, but then there's a lot more that you can do from there. I guess kind of our interesting backstory is that we've been building a social media app for the last 6 years. So we have an existing community of people who create crypto content. So we're actually, our first step was the, sitemap work and just kind of general structural work. And now our next thing is going to be actually tapping into our social media app and allowing our users to write content that is solely intended to rank on, both LLMs and just standard search engines for things like how to unwrap WBTC to BTC. So I think between that and then marketing on X and we've been dabbling with some paid ads on X. I would say those kind of three methods between organic and paid are going to be our next 10,000 users.
Okay, amazing. So now you say paid ads on X. Really curious. What's your impression? How did it work, especially for crypto in brackets, which is usually difficult?
Yeah, so I have a little bit of a background actually with paid ads on Facebook ads, way back in the day. So we're still in kind of like that phase one stage, which is essentially launching like 20 different ad campaign variants. And you push each one with like $1 a day worth of marketing budget, and then see which ones work, which ones don't. What's getting clicks, what's not getting clicks, what's just getting impressions, etc. So we're still kind of in the very early stages of that. I wouldn't say we have a ton of usable data just yet, but things like so far what I've seen, very actionable and specific things like what I just mentioned with the unwrapping WBTC. Those very specific ones have so far been doing pretty well. So phase one is just have a bunch of different campaigns with different audience demographics, and then phase two is going to be to scale up. Obviously ditch the 90% that's not working and then scale up the 10%. So I plan to publish a, kind of like an open sourcing of the results of that because I think it would be really useful for others in the community. But we'll see. Hopefully in like the next, 1 to 2 months, we'll have some very usable data from that.
Okay, yeah, great. That would be awesome because we're also thinking about which channels to tap in and so on and so on. So yeah, if you would share that, that would be really helpful. So the last one standing here, is Kenton with ADR 21. So Kenton, what's your take? What works? What's important? How to get out of the bubble here?
I think how we do it is, would you hire a marketing company to write code? If there's a new blockchain out and it was all, programmed and developed by salesmen, marketers, would anybody use it or trust it? Probably not. Probably wouldn't go anywhere. And so just reverse that. Would you trust developers to do marketing? Well, no, that's not that. They don't know how to do it. It's not their job. So, I think that's the problem with crypto in general is we have a lot of really smart developers, really, strong left brain people, but they suck at sales, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? We do if we imagine having a really strong sales team with a really strong developer team, right? It'd be unstoppable. So there's a saying that good marketing can make a bad product succeed. Well, and bad marketing can make a good product fail, right? So just imagine if we have good marketing with a good product, like it's unstoppable. You can't not win, right? And so I think that's a simple view right there, is just everybody stay in their lane. And yeah, so how do we, so obviously, just like finding the right developers, you got to find the right marketers, right? People know what they're doing. Like it's like anything else in life. But yeah, you gotta get your message out there. You gotta promote. Everybody dreams of the whole build it and they will come, and we all want that. We're all striving for that, right? But we all have to also be honest with ourselves that that's like, that doesn't happen for everybody. Sometimes you got to build it and you have to go to others to show it and promote it and explain it and sell it, right? Like the rest of us mere mortals. And again, if you do have a product where it's build it and they will come, and you combine marketing on top, you can't lose, right? You're just accelerating the process. So to not promote yourself, to not tell your story, to not try to get it out there is just, you're just holding yourself back for no reason. And we can do that organically, like we can post stuff on our social pages and whatnot, and hopefully it gets picked up and goes viral. But again, if we apply some money to that and amplify it, we get our message out much quicker, and we should start seeing results much sooner. So applying money to marketing is just amplifying our message, right? And we mentioned training LLMs, so is totally true. Like 20 years ago, whoever figured out SEO did well. Today, it's who figures out AIO, AI optimization, and AI is scrubbing the internet, for articles and whatnot. So to train AI, we basically have to pay to get our info or distribution out there, right? And yeah, you can do it organically, but it's just less, right? The more content there is for AI to read, the more it's going to rank it. And so we got to pay to play. Maybe I'll stop there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I feel you. My background is sales as well, so I got trained into just calling and going to customers and like not caring about how the product is built, but what it can do. I think that's a big gap that you have in the two different, in the two different types of people. That one is really caring about how cool it is, what you build, and the other part is to care more about, okay, what value does it create, and how can I attract somebody else to use it, actually, which is always the value it creates.
Yeah, specifically because the THORChain account's got ADR21 up there. So Kenton has been, and it's working with the Node Opera community, has been pushing for the almost THORChain or treasury funded or ecosystem funded marketing of the core protocol itself. And the key thing that was missing was a dedicated front end to really hone in that SEO and test and adjust and whatnot. So after 12 months of working his way through and getting rapport and getting community feedback, he was the sponsor, along with Scorch, another node operator, of a ADR architectural design record, and that got put to node vote, and ADR 21 has passed. So 250K seed fund to get them going with a 5% system income split in perpetuity with a 12-month kind of like pulse check, monthly reviews of the community. So any marketing ideas Kenton and his team will put in place, they're going to aggressively spend basically any income they get through the marketing fund, they'll spend it immediately in that month. They'll drive different strategies, and it's all to go into basically driving flow and capturing users into the ecosystem that we're trying to build here. And he's also another weapon on these is he's working with the Unstoppable team. They're pushing out a very simple front end. It would just literally be swap, go. Chad's working on, Nine was working on the memoless feature, which will allow you to basically send your crypto directly to a QR code, and a swap will happen in the background. So the user experience is going to get even better. They'll be able to A/B test, and they're just looking to acquire users, acquire flow, and outcompete the centralized providers like ChangeLly and ChangeNow and etc. And these are new users. They're not trying to like grab users or grab Thor wallet users or Leodex users. By the way, I love Leodex, and I love the founder of Leodex is on this call in his car. I heard his blinker sticking. That's so good. He's trying to get out there and find new users to bring them into the fold. So that's part of the acquisition of users and to escape the bubble. Now, 5 years ago, 8 years ago, when we started building out the protocol, it was very different then. We were a hated species. We were a hunted species. We did not want to touch the front end. Uniswap's front end ultimately got them in trouble, and then the US administration changed, and they got out of trouble. We wanted to stay away from owning a front end because we saw that as an attack vector. So we deliberately had never built a front end. We pushed it out to the community, and we seed funded Thor Wallet, THORSwap, Asgardex, or the whole stack. Everyone got a small grant at the start to get going. And that was our philosophy 5 years ago. But times have changed. The administration has said they're not going to go after developers with DeFi protocols. So that's relaxed the burners a bit. And now we are now considering actually going out and building a front end that we can host and drive traffic to and get new users. But also how to escape the bubble. Like the whole stack we're building, from the wallet layer, the self-custody layer, to the DeFi app layer, which is what Nami are building with the yield vaults and the indexes that they're building. Like we need to build a better experience from the top down than say Binance and Kraken and Coinbase. Like that's the biggest pile of users we can get, because you jump on Twitter and every day someone's got their funds locked up or having KYC problems. That's the big pile of users that we need to drag over and show actually you can use a self-custodial wallet, connect it up into an interface, and you can keep your keys and have access to lending, indexes, perps, and more. And built on the foundations of THORChain and Maya, we have direct layer one connectivity. Like we've solved that through churning vaults with nodes and threshold signatures and that's a solved problem. Now we need to bring users on top of that. So it's really cool to see this all playing out. We've got the wallet layer, we've got the aggregator layer, we've got the DeFi app layer, which is what the Rujira team and the Rujira ecosystem are building, Nami. And then we've got the decentralized protocols at the bottom. That is the stack that is going to win against the Coinbases and the Krakens and the Binances of the world. So everyone here is on the same team. We're trying to get our users onto a better alternative. And we're all chasing the next 100 million users, and we all have different ideas how to do that. On the Vaulted side, I think the next 100 million users are going to come if the Web3 experience feels like the Web2 experience. And believe it or not, I think this can be solved once again with threshold signatures, and that's what we're building over Vaulted. The idea that you can all the chain complexity, all the gas prices, the nonces, the drop transactions, the block explorers, etc., can be abstracted away in plugins, and you'll be able to literally talk to your wallet and say, "Hey, chat, go get me yield on my 10 grand, or borrow 5 grand and repay it back next month, or sell on my ETH if Vitalik tweets about his girlfriend, etc." That can all be automated in a self-custodial fashion at the wallet layer with threshold signatures. So that's what the Voltasig team are hard at work building, but it's part of the stack, right? It's part of the stack.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we are building the top of Rujira, but I fully agree with your take. So it will be very interesting to see how this pans out. I do want to, like, usually these spaces, even though they're very interesting, dragging on for a long time. So I want to avoid it with this one. So it's a wrap-up question. I will go to everybody, and I start with Moonman. What is an underutilized strategy for product distribution, especially in crypto, that you see, and what would be the first step, or the first action you would take, or you will take, to start like using it, exploiting it?
Really depends on the product, but I think don't be shy to use Web 2 ways of user acquisition. I think we still like sometimes find ourselves trying to do everything with Web 3 tools, but I think there's still some old ways where you can use to activate users there. And I think another thing is just figuring out your product through basically build on the network effect of doing B2B to reach their customers, so B2B2C kind of thing. I think that can be pretty powerful as well. Of course, it doesn't apply to every product, but it's always easier to piggyback someone else's network than to build your own.
Okay, yeah, makes sense to me. So, Carl, what's your take?
Yeah, I also agree that using Web 2 methods can be a really great way to drive in new users. And JP did catch me. I'm driving my car right now. So, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of using Web 2 methods. I think driving new users is a ever evolving game. I like that a lot of people brought up various AI things on this call. I think you have to stay kind of ahead of the curve when it comes to marketing. I also would love to echo what Ken was saying about devs are amazing and devs are amazing at deving, but marketing kind of takes a completely different side of the brain. So I just love that this community kind of comes together on things like this, talks about it from multiple different angles. What everyone said, and just would echo on that.
Okay, amazing. Then, Fenton, what's your take? What's the easiest or the most underutilized distribution channel, and what would be your first steps to approach it?
I don't know what the easiest is. I agree with Web 2 marketing though. Look at XRP and Cardano. Everyone, again, I am positive everyone on listening to this call has had a normie friend who knows nothing about crypto ask them about XRP or Cardano. Everybody, we've all experienced this, right? You go, you're sitting at the bar, talking to your friends about crypto, and the bartender's like, "Oh, what about Cardano and Ripple?" How do these guys know about it? They don't know anything else about crypto, but they know about XRP and Cardano. It's because of Web 2 marketing. They cornered that, and this isn't just unique to crypto. This is any industry, right? It doesn't matter what the business is. There's always some company or product that is just that isn't. I don't want to talk, not smack about other tokens, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's much better products out there that nobody knows about, and it's because the certain products just get better marketed better, and so yeah, I don't think Web 2 marketing should be overlooked. But to be honest, I don't know what we can copy and paste marketing strategies from the past and employ those, but at the end of the day, it's just you just follow the dollars, what's working, and if something's working, you just keep going with that. And it's not like, I think there's something too is people might get hung up on, well, I should only have to market this way, and if it doesn't work, then no marketing will work. It's like, well, no, we got to try all kinds of different ways, find out what is working, and then we lean into that, because humans are irrational. Humans make irrational decisions. They make emotional decisions, and then they rationalize them after the fact. So what that means is your marketing almost has to be irrational and emotional too. You kind of have to be random and out there and weird and whatever. You don't know what's going to click, and you got to just kind of trying to figure it out. And then when you do find something that clicks, then you go with it. For THORChain's case, maybe it's something as silly as the Thunderbolt lightning logo. People just like it. No, I like Norse mythology. That's cool. THORChain. All right, we lean into that. They may not care about decentralization or anything like that. They just love the color. That could be that simple. But yeah, I think everything has to be on the table, and then you just you try all the things and see what works.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's one point for me too, and I think it's also important that we really start recognizing, like THORChain does, that this needs funds and funding, and you need to deploy funds for this. Otherwise, your ecosystem will simply not grow, and the product will not be distributed. JP, your last take. What's your underutilized distribution channel, and your thoughts on this?
Look, I'm a product guy, so I will say that the best marketing is just people using a product, loving it, and telling their friends. And like for what I'm trying to build with Voltasig and push the Rujira team and the THORChain as well, we just try to build the best product possible that solves that just basically solves all the pain points. And if people use it and they enjoy it, then they'll tell their friends. And that kind of also led the THORChain growth in the early days, because it was the only thing that actually worked on the cross-chain liquidity space. So people always told their friends. With Voltasig, we're actually trying to build just the best wallet you can imagine, and soon with plugins, it'll blow your mind with what's possible. So being a very much product guy, I just want to build the best product and get people to tell their friends. You can boost it up with referrals, and even at Voltasig, we support our referrals, so you can refer your friends. So I think that's important. But yeah, just try to build the best product. And actually, Leodex is great at actually just building this product. Soul Wallet have worked really hard over the last year to clean up their hands, make it. Won't tell their friends about a product that's not nice to use. So yeah, just really focus on the user experience, and that's yeah, one time thing.
Amazing. Okay, guys. Yeah, as I said, there is one question, but we'll cut it here. Keep it short. Keep it 47 minutes. Share it. I think it was very valuable for me at the time. Thanks, guys, for your insights. We will definitely go through it again, scrub what we can need, and
so one last thing
Rujira
on the way out is we're building tools for Rujira that are not going to be found anywhere else, and that's why we've got the whole some members of the team developing right now. We've got enshrined oracles, which are our own sovereign oracle entity, which is send of stocks, real assets, anything you want directly into the Rujira app layer. We have a scheduler, and Nami, you gotta love this scheduler. You can basically you can schedule ahead of time.
Is JP cutting out for you guys?
Yeah. I hope it's mine. Let's see if he comes back on. Yeah. Oh, now he dropped it. Oh, I think the requests again. Now he's gone. Okay, but I guess we will read and hear a lot about the upgrades coming, and we built on Rujira, so we are always amazed by what comes up, and the enshrined oracles, the scheduler. Like, there's so much that you can build on top of this. Just also the new lending market, the functionality around the credit accounts. If you have a product idea, if you want to build something, like, get in touch with Pragmatic Monkey, get in touch with Mark, DM whoever, DM us, whatever. We are a big family. It's like, sounds sketchy, but we are. So let's make it happen. Let's get more products. Let's get more users. And let's make this decentralized Binance. Right. So yeah, thanks guys for joining, and have a great evening, day, wherever you're listening from. Goodbye.
Thank you.